Hi and welcome to this tutorial, and where I'm going to show you how to create this simple composite. So I'm just going to minimize this and open bridge, and I've got some images right here. So I've got this image here that I took a few years ago, and I want to combine with this one here that I took a few years ago as well. So the first thing I want to do is I want to open this image in Camera Raw. Bear in mind, if you are using Lightroom, it's exactly the same engine, so it works exactly the same way. So for instance, if this is my basic panel like in Lightroom, and all the other ones are right here on the top. So to be fair, this was shot with a cheap camera and with a kit lens, and it's not the sharpest of the images, so but I want to cut out all the background. So the first thing I want to do is I want just to add some contrast, and I'm looking around the edges of the subject. I'm just going to open the shadows just a touch so I can see her feet and add some clarity, and we've got enough contrast going here. Just open shadows a bit more. So now I want to open this in Photoshop, but I want to open as a smart object. The reason for that is because I want to come back to Camera Raw to adjust my image as I want it, because at this moment in time I'm just concentrating on the edges of the subject. So to do that, I'm just going to hold Shift, and as you can see right here on the bottom, instead of open image, it appears open object. So I'm going to click there, and now it will open in Photoshop. Cool, there you go. So now I'm going just to grab my quick selection tool, because this is just a way to show you how to create a simple and realistic composite. Feel free to use the pen tool. I would use the pen tool, to be honest, in most of these areas, not on the hat, but for the purposes of this tutorial, the quick selection, it works quite well. So I'm just going to select this area like so, and Alt to reduce that, and there you go. And now just carry on like so. And as you can see, because I've added contrast and clarity, because the way clarity works is adding contrast to midtones, so it just adds a bit more definition to the edges, to the overall image. But as I was focusing on the edges, it works really well. So just brushing away this like so, and as you can see, it's looking quite good. Oops, just make my brush bigger like so, and I'm going to add feet as well, just like so. I'm not going to focus to do a proper selection in there. So all is good here, and now I've got a small area right here, so I'm just going to hold Alt to subtract from that selection, and I still have this bit of the basket, and Alt to subtract like so, and it looks decent. As you can see, it looks quite good. Great. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a layer mask to it. So this moment I've got the background removed from this young lady. So now what I want to do is I want to double click on the layer thumbnail like so, and what will happen is it opens Camera Raw. So I'm just going to hit default. So just bring this, reset everything. So now I can just shade this too warm. I'm going to cloudy, add some contrast, open the shadows a touch, bring down the highlights, add some clarity, add a bit of whites, just a bit of blacks, just the basic stuff, nothing too fancy, as you can see. And overall, I think from this to this, it looks good. So I'm going just to click OK, and obviously it will update that layer, and it looks good. So next step is to bring my image, my background image. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing as the other one, but first thing I want to do is I want to actually align this. So I'm just going to make it nice and straight, There you go. So as you can see, before and after, I just selected transform tool and press O for automatic. But I could use and drag some lines in here, or I could just play with these sliders. But for this image, it works really well as it is. Cool. So now I'm just going to add some contrast, open up the shadows because I want to bring some nice detail from the shadows, bring down the highlights, add some blacks, add some whites, and actually I'm going to reduce the blacks. There you go. And I'm going to open the image like so. And this time I didn't open as a smart object because I know I don't need to come back here again. Cool. So now I'm going to just select my move tool, grab the layer where this gal is, and click and drag into my document. I'm going to hold shift, so this way it just places the entire image in the middle. And I'm just going to resize it. So now let's understand resizing. So I know this is a staircase, and I know roughly the size of the person compared to the steps. So if you are in doubt in this case, what would you do? You would come here, and as you can see right here, I'm going to just zoom in. This is where the last step is. So imagine the girl is sitting on it's on the step, and this is the door. So as you can see, she's way bigger. She wouldn't fit on the door. So let's resize her to a point that she can actually walk through the door. And as you can see, it just confines really nicely. Cool. As you may remember on the original image, and I'm going just to open it in here, the girl is on the step, and this is why I picked up this image to work with. So oops, there you go. Let's bring it here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to bring her, and I'm focusing on a nice composition. Even though I'm going to crop this image, I want to look decent, so I'm just going somewhere along here, as it looks like she's waiting for someone, either to pick her up or to go inside the building. And in terms of composition, it works really well, and I'm going to show you exactly. As you can see, this is rule of thirds, and you can change it here if you'd like, grid, diagonal, etc. And as you can see, it works really well. Even though I'm going to crop this area, I think it's nicely placed in here. So now it still looks totally fake. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to select my move tool, V for move tool, and I'm just going to bring down a touch like so, and I'm just going to mask out that small bit over here. And it doesn't need to be very precise because we're going to add some shadows in here. It looks a lot better. Okay, so I want to create a layer beneath her feet. So to do that, I'm going to hold Control or Command on the Mac, and I'm holding, and I'm going to click New Layer icon, like so. And as you can see, we've got layer 1 right below. So I'm going to shadow 1, and I'm just going to paint something like this, just beneath her feet. And I'm just going to that's the opacity, and Control T to free transform, and I'm just going to squish it a bit. So something like this, probably a bit too much. So I'm just going to zoom in, and I'm just going like so. Cool. And I'll just drop the opacity a bit more. There you go. Now I'm going to create another shadow, so shadow 2, and this one here, it will be a bit bigger. So I'm just going to focus in this area like this. And as you can see, when you're brushing, okay, we could create a selection around this. I'm just brushing away. I'm not being very picky, I'm not being very particular, because now I'm going to hit Control T or Command T on the Mac, and I'm just going to free transform this to suit what I'm after. So something like this, and I just want like so, and drop the opacity a bit more. I'm going to actually drop the opacity of shadow 1 as well a bit more. There you go. And I'm going to just create another layer, and I'm going to show you with elliptical marquee. So we've got the dress, so obviously it will be casting a shadow, and we could go something like this and fill with black, and as you can see, quite easy, but it's so perfect, even though that we can blur it, and I'm going to show you. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. It still looks way too perfect. So I'm going just to undo that, and this is why I'm going just to brush away. So I'll just brush something like so, and like before, Command T, Control T, and I'm just going something like this. And when I stretch from the middles, both just holding one handle and the other one is moving at the same time, I'm just holding Alt Option on Mac, and as you can see, I'm just going something like so. So something like this, and I'll drop the opacity, and probably I'll just go in the last shadow, just make my brush a bit bigger, and just one stroke, and as before, free transform, Control T or Command T, and I'm just going something like so, and like before, drop the opacity. So I'm just going now to add all of these shadows into a group. So selecting top layer, come into the shadow 1, holding shift, selects all of these layers. So still holding shift, if I click right here, I've got it in a group. So I'll group shadows. Cool. And as you can see, it looks quite decent. Probably a bit too much. I can drop the overall opacity, and it looks decent. So now we have the problem of these railings here. So I'm just going to grab my crop tool. I'm just going to crop it to a point where I like, something like so. Probably just like this. Accept the changes, and it looks quite good. It looks very good actually. So just drop the opacity just a touch more. Cool. So now I want just to bring all this image together. I want to give it like a vintage feel. So I'm going to hue and saturation, and like I said, this is a simple composite. So I'm not going to detail of doing a professional with 200 images and 200 different techniques. I'm going for simple stuff that you can do it very quickly. This is why I'm going to be using a preset. So I'm just going to preset, I'm going to sepia, and I'm just going to drop the opacity a touch, like so. And as you can see, just brought all the image together. Works really nice. And now I want just take the final touches, and I want to take it to Camera Raw. So Command Shift Alt E, Command Alt Shift E on a Mac, Control Alt Shift E on a PC, and I've got my merged version. So merged. So basically I've got a new layer with all of these layers combined, and the layers are still here. So if I mess up this layer, I'm just going to grab a bar. So I mess up this layer, I can just get rid of it. All of the layers are here, and if I want to tweak a bit more, so if I want more opacity, less opacity, so I still have all the control. So I'm just going to create the merge version, filter, Camera filter, and I want to add some clarity. Now I want to enhance the blacks, bring down the shadows a touch, something like so. The highlights, add some contrast. Probably I'll just bring down the saturation a bit more, something like this, a bit of temperature. So it's looking quite good. Now I just want to grab the radial filter, and I just want to create something around her, so something like so. So I'll just make it, squish it a bit like this, and this way we have like a spotlight. So as you can see, I'm moving a light, so I'm using like a flashlight onto her, just to add a bit more light into her. And as you can see, the exposure is at minus 1.15, and the effect is on the outside. So if I wanted to on the inside, I could just click inside and come here and just bring a bit more light into her, or drop your highlights, shadows, blacks, and as you can see, works really well. But I prefer the opposite, so I'm just going to like reset all of this on the outside and bring down the exposure, so like so. And now I just want to add an overall vignette, so I'm just going to FX and just add a vignette like so. I can see that my Instagram, it's a bit over to the left, so I'm just going to add some more whites, just probably the highlights a bit, so at least I've got something here, and like so. There you go. As you can see, super cool. So from this image to this one, and the girl from this we cut out, brought it here, and all together it works really well. So like so. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to share this with your family, friends, and even to those that you don't know. Share with everyone, and please do subscribe for more tutorials. I hope you enjoyed and inspire you to do simple composites, and I've got a few tricks and a few videos about tricks in compositing, and I will go and do some more compositing work in here, where I'm going to show you different techniques, and not as simple as this one here. But with this video, hopefully you will get started with these simple composites. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.